Yes.
Councilman Yee.
Yes.
Councilman Gross.
Yes.
Supervisor Wright.
Yes.
Carried unanimous by a vote of 5-0.
Very good. Graham, would you like to, just with a thumbnail sketch for the benefit of the audience and the folks at home, walk us through what we just did?
Certainly. The last resolution that you adopted was simply indicating your acceptance of the Village of Brewster as a member of the Putnam County MS4 Coordinating Committee. That's the intermunicipal agreement that the town has been participating in for the last several years for stormwater management and compliance with the general permit. We recognize that there is a benefit in working together, and so the communities that make up the coordinating committee are welcoming the Village of Brewster into that committee to work together.
Thank you, Graham.
And I'd also like to acknowledge that the mayor of the Village of Brewster is here in the audience.
Very good.
And the other communities also have to vote on this, right? It's not just us.
Each of the other members has to vote on this in order, a majority of the members have to vote, right? So, yes, the other members have to vote.
Okay.
Very good. Thanks, Graham.
Thank you.
Item 10 will defer at the request of the applicant. Item 11, resolution, condemnation of Roth property on Foggentown Road. Dwight, would you read that?
Adoption of finding statement in connection with the eminent domain proceedings, premise tax map 46.3-38, and known as 291 Foggentown Road. Whereas a public hearing having been duly noticed to be held on March 24th, 2011, in connection with the possible acquisition of certain premises described as part of Southeast Tax Map 46.3-38, and known as 291 Foggentown Road, Town of Southeast, the subject premise, pursuant to the eminent domain law of the State of New York. And whereas such public hearing was properly convened and duly held on March 24th, 2011, and all persons having an interest in the subject matter thereof having been given an opportunity to be heard in such regard, and whereas the public hearing was thereafter duly closed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board, after due deliberation, hereby adopts and annex determinations and findings, directs the supervisor to execute a copy of such determination and findings, and authorizes and directs the Town Clerk to cause an abstract of such determinations and findings to be published and posted in accordance with applicable law.
I second. Roll call vote, please, Ruth.
Councilman Cullen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Yes.
Councilman Yee.
Yes.
Councilman Gross.
Yes.
Supervisor Wright.
Yes.
Unanimous vote of 5-0.
Thank you. That's very good news. And for the folks who are here regarding Springhouse,
Excuse me, what's very good news?
it's very good news that the Springhouse Estates eminent domain action to acquire title to a site on which are 4 new clean drinking water wells is going to be subject to an eminent domain proceeding, and will have clear title in time to borrow the money to build the project, which I was just about to mention, to provide clean drinking water to this special benefit district for the first time in quite a while. That is good news to the residents there, and it comes at no cost to the taxpayers of the town of Southeast because it's a special benefit district action.
How about the Roth family?
Oh, from Cameron?
The Roth family, we are negotiating with the Roth family, and we are also on a parallel track proceeding on the eminent domain, with an eminent domain action.
And that's good news?
Sir, I understand your point. What I'd like to mention is the availability now, which is a public document, of course, the Springhouse Estates Water District Water Supply and Treatment Facility, the town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York. And if any resident or anyone else would like a copy of that, you're welcome to it. I have a few copies here tonight, and there are more available, of course, anytime. Yes, sir.
Since we are talking about this particular subject, I need to follow up on a request from the last meeting. In the last town hall meeting on the 28th, at the last town hall meeting, town board meeting, on the 14th of April, Ms. Hudak asked me to name the professor who giving us an opinion well, not an opinion, but I quoted a professor about the water rights of the Rosses. The quotation was, "I will say that I do not understand your seller's position. I am not familiar with any riparian groundwater doctrine, and I know of no New York law that would suggest one exists." I did not feel comfortable to disclose the name of my source without checking with him first. But after the board meeting, I did check with him, and he gave me his permission to do so. So now I will name my source. But first, what I want to say to those people who were sitting at that time in the back, disrupting the proceedings and a meeting, laughing rudely at my ethics of not disclosing the source of information without the permission of the source itself, now hear it and weep. My pro bono source is a professor who came to Pace University Law School in July 2003 from Koblenz, Patch, Duffy, Bass, LLP in San Francisco, where he practiced complex civil litigation. Prior to that, he was an associate at Pillsbury Winthrop LLP in San Francisco and served on the executive committee of the San Francisco Bar Association's Environmental Law Practice Group. Before entering private practice, he clerked for the Honorable Rosemary Barkett on the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. The professor teaches, among other subjects, specifically water law, property, and professional responsibility. He is an extremely knowledgeable professional. His name is Professor David Cossuto, Pace University Law School. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could I make one comment on this,
Sure.
this project? We want inexpensive water and clean water for Springhouse. We're all on the same page on that, no question. My concern was what the supervisor said a moment ago in support of the dual track, because there's quite a bit of acreage there. I've forgotten the exact number now. But it's open space land, and we have an open space committee, and we have bond money from the open space committee to purchase such a project. And I hope that we could negotiate to get that land for the open space purposes. It would not be developed in the future. And I know some folks at Springhouse were concerned that if wanted it to be developed, because more houses then would be able to share the burden of paying for the water system. And I understand that. But there is no, there's a caveat in that project, as I understand it, where houses being built in that area, if they were built, would not have to join Springhouse. So that is something that would be a further debate down the line. My attitude was that besides the sliver of property for these wells, if something in the future happened and this was open space land, we would have the option to maybe take a little more of that land to drill more wells if we in fact needed it down the line, which, unforeseen circumstance. So it's my hope that we could work with the Roth property owners to, and through open space, to acquire that land for nature trails and preserve. There are turtles, as we know, in the area, and it's a nice area in a residential area that could be green for hereafter. I mean, that, after all, is the responsibility of the Open Space Committee, to acquire land, to keep it open space and keep it green. So while I voted for this resolution and all, I just think it's important that we take a look at that dual track and don't give up on the second lane of possible negotiations with them.
Very good.
And just to say one quick thing on that, this is not a situation where other water districts would feel that we're giving Springhouse any special arrangement. They're purchasing that property, the homeowners there, for the wells alone. So this is a dual situation where they would have their land for water and the town would have this open space land. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Excuse me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Fred Well. You might come up from my country.
Welcome, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I don't want anybody to think Roth Nursery didn't work with these. Before we even started, we received a letter. Fine. We granted permission for these wells to be drilled without anybody's expense. Nobody that had water coming, we thought they should have water. So everybody got to go for free. We're paying. But now, we let you there for free. In 2008, we don't get tax-free, we don't get anything, we're not getting legal fees, and we're getting an offer of $84,000 and losing 3 building lots. And we've owned it for 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you for your
My
cooperation.
name is Fred Quell. Thank you. That's what we've done. We have worked with you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Item 12, insurance proposals. Bob, do you have material for this?
Well, just our policy with NYMER Insurance, which we had for quite some time, probably over 20 years, was expiring. We were approached by a couple other agents that represented other companies. I met with 2 of them, a gentleman named Owen McCain and a gentleman named Bill Noel, separately. Drove them around, saw the sites. They wound up giving us proposals, and along with NYMER for going forward. In my opinion, they were all very close in price. I don't really see, at this point, after reviewing the policies, any reason to switch with NYMER, from NYMER, so I would recommend that we stay with NYMER for the next year.
Do you have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that for the, starting, I believe, May 1st, for the next year, we continue our relationship with NYMER Insurance Agency to represent the town for
Very good.
in our insurance.
Roger, would you like to second?
A second with a little discussion.
Sure. Councilman Gross seconds.
I would add that NYMER is a consortium of communities in the state for insurance purposes, and it's like a co-op. And financially, there's much better, I think, control of exposure to a possible situation. Their coverage is much greater than the private companies that we did review, and they also do training for sexual harassment and other requirements by state law. And we also initially, some years ago, put in initial bond money of $20,000 to get the thing rolling, and now it's a large operation. And so I think it's in the long-range interest of the community to stay with NYMER because they have the kind of multi-million-dollar coverage which the local firms, smaller firms, did not offer. And so I think it's wise for the community in the long term to go with this consortium, if that makes sense to everyone.
I concur. Yes,
I
Liz.
think it was important to note that there were some differences pointed out by the by 2 of the agencies that sent representatives, and I, for one, have considered those differences carefully and believe that we should still stay with the NYMER contract. The NYMER contract is one that apparently has been suiting us well, and I would think at this time it would be important for us to stay the course, and also that we thank the other individuals who took the time to submit proposals. I think it was very important that we would have this kind of competition, and we did it, and we're still staying now with the same agency, but once again, we will invite competition in the future. It was good to hear everyone speak, and but once again, I believe NYMER is still the best choice.
Thank you.
Can I just add one more thing?
Sure, Roger.
We get a dividend check every year from NYMER as well, more than $5,000 this year. And also, besides the dividend check, we had a reduction in the rate this year, so the competition, I think, may have influenced that, who knows. But we had a rate reduction overall, which brings the rates pretty close to each other in terms of these multi-million-dollar coverage. Thank you.
And just,
Sure.
just the
Yes,
one,
Bob.
the one of the other applicants, his policy, the rates were a little bit less, but when you looked at the policy, the deductible was $5,000 per incident compared to our current $1,000 per incident. So I think that it wasn't worth switching for the less money because the deductible was greater. So
Thanks.
like I said,
I agree with my colleagues as regarding the continuity of service with the not-for-profit established by the New York State Legislature for the benefit of municipalities such as the town of Southeast due to chaos